Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. I'm Melissa Taylor Stewart, coordinator with the Long Beach Unified School District RAP Expanded Learning Program, and I would like to welcome you to the LBUSD Community Education Forum, addressing the challenges of pandemic schooling.
Buenos dias. Good morning. I'm Mariela Salgado, and a member of the Long Beach Unified School District Community Advisory Committee, a Parks and Recs Commissioner, more importantly, a parent of two, kindergartner and second grader. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you haven't already,
That
interpreter needs to block he has to mute himself.
Mariela Salgado,
Damn.
we will hold.
District.
Please mute yourself to my translator.
I'm working.
Thank you. Sorry about that, folks. If you haven't already, for those in need of Spanish interpretation, please dial in 425-436-6388 and enter code 300-7239 as dropped in the chat. Para los que necesitan interpretación en español, por favor, marque 425-436-6388 y ingrese el código 362-39. For Khmer,
បងប្អូនដែលអញ្ជើញមកចូលប្រជុំនៅក្នុងថ្ងៃនេះបើសិនជាបងប្អូនចង់ស្ដាប់ជាភាសាខ្មែរសូមខលទៅលេខ602 508 9266 ហើយបញ្ចូលលេខកូដ 77034
I'm sorry, somebody has to tell that interpreter to mute himself. Excuse me, interpreter, you need to mute yourself. We could hear you.
Hello បងដែលបកប្រែជាភាសាខ្មែរបងសូមដាក់សំឡេងបងទៅជា mute ទៅបងបិទសំឡេងខាងបង
I think he thought that was me talking. I wasn't. I think we're talking to him, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think he misunderstood. That wasn't me though. I mute myself and yeah, I could hear him. He thought it was me. He asked me, the interpreter, please mute yourself, and that wasn't me.
Mr. Interpreter, can you please mute yourself? We could hear you. We don't need to hear you.
He's muted. You're good.
All right, he's muted. Thanks, Marisol. Thanks for your patience.
Okay, so 2020, what a year this has been. There are many ways we can describe this year, but if we are honest with ourselves, we would probably describe 2020 as a year of unknowns, challenges, and in the word, unbelievable. However, I choose, and I invite you to join me in moving through the rest of 2020 and into next year with hope. Hope doesn't negate realities, but it does allow us to see the light despite some of the darkness. As an LBUSD family of committed parents, guardians, educators, and community members, we have one goal in mind. That is to offer the best education possible to our students during this season of pandemic learning. Together, we will move forward with hope, anticipation, and a commitment to continued growth and success. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage Dr. Jill Baker, Superintendent of Schools, Long Beach Unified School District. Welcome, Dr. Baker.
Thank you, Alyssa. I'm glad to be here this morning to provide a little bit of welcome from our Long Beach Unified team and to thank so many people that have made today possible. So much thought and collaboration has gone into making today's forum a success, and I really want to thank our community partners, parents, and staff who have made today possible. Thank you to teams from the Children's Defense Fund California, from Public Advocates, and Latinos in Action. Each of your organizations has invested greatly in our ongoing work and in making today a meaningful experience for participants. I would especially like to acknowledge Martha Cota, who has been a great contributor to this partnership over time, but who I don't think is with us today because, as many of you know, she is supporting her husband who is battling COVID. We will hold Martha in our thoughts today and continue to work together in a way that makes her proud. Thank you to our LBUSD parents who are bringing your stories to us today to help us better understand the lived experience of your families and your children. And the Long Beach planning team led by Lucy Salazar and Robert Tagorda, Alyssa Taylor-Stewart, Chris Sitzen, Rebecca Fast, Kelly Hodge, today would not have been possible without your hard work too. I'm proud to say that at today's forum, every department in LBUSD is represented as a listener, a learner, or a contributor to the forum, because ensuring the success of our students and getting through a pandemic requires each and every one of us to work together in service to our students. So present today at today's forum are Deputy Superintendent Brown, CBFO Takahashi, Assistant Superintendents Simon, Brown, Lund, Zaid, Kale, Camarino, and Moskovitz. Thank you also to presenters from multiple departments, Director Sosa Valderrama, Executive Director Woods, and to our translators who are here with us today, Milve, Maribel, Sam, Austin, and I think there are some others as well. None of this work would be possible without the strong leadership and support of our Board of Education, and I know several of them are attending today's forum. I want to acknowledge President Craighead, Vice President Meyer, members Benitez, Kerr, and Williams. In addition, I believe that we may have at least one incoming board member in either Eric Miller or Doug Otto with us today as well. Today is the continuation of work and collaboration that has been going on for some time. The partnership between Children's Defense Fund, public advocates, Latinos in Action, and the district has helped us to improve systems and responses to the needs of our students. It greatly supported the development of this year's learning continuity and attendance plan and has provided us with ongoing feedback about all of our efforts to ensure that students are cared for and provided the resources and tools they need to be successful. And while we're doing all that we can, we know that we need to continue to do better, to try new ideas, new ways of connecting with families, and new ways of engaging with our stakeholders. Today is part of that attempt. The last 8 months have challenged us as leaders, as teachers, and frankly, as human beings. This difficult time has also brought out new ways of thinking and a deep spirit of working together. So on behalf of the Long Beach team, we come together today with open minds and open hearts, with the desire to make things better tomorrow, better than they are today for our children. So thank you for making the time to be here this morning as a presenter, as a listener, a learner, or someone who is just here to see how you can support our efforts. We are so glad to be here and glad that you're here with us as well. And so I am passing back to Alyssa and Mariela.
Dr. Baker, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your ongoing commitment to the students and families in LBUSD. You're really appreciated. Now I'm going to pass it to Kim Tabari. She's going to share some very important information with us.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here again, like everybody has said so far. I am Dr. Kim Tabari. I am a parent. I am a community member. I am a researcher. I am a yoga teacher. I am part of the Education Coalition planning team, and I am a Black Lives Matter Long Beach activist. So I wear many, many, many different hats, as many of you do as well. I really wanted to start off with today's program with doing a land acknowledgement, because I think it's really important that we acknowledge the land that we're on. And so let me first just say, we are on the homeland of the Tongva people here in Long Beach. We continue to pay our respects to the caretakers of the land, the Tongva Nation, their ancestors, elders, and relations past, present, and forthcoming. If you're tuning in from a different part of California and you want to know what land you're currently occupying in Long Beach, I will put the link in the chat so you can click on it and see what land that you're currently on. And so before we could go further, I also want to offer a few community agreements for our space. And community agreements really is a way of ensuring that we are all on the same page, that we bring our full selves to the conversation with equity, with respect, with openness. So here are a few community agreements for today. First, we want to really listen with an open heart, right? And listening is is very hard for many of us, right? So especially those of us doing a lot of work on the ground. And so listening with an open heart is critical. We want to really make space for new ideas. We might be hearing things that we don't always agree with, right? But let's make space for the new ideas. We want to assume good intentions, right? And the focus here is on providing the best services for families and students. That's ultimately our goal. We may take different roads to get there, but let's assume good intentions. We want to embrace our, sorry, I was off the screen. We want to share openly and respectfully using the chat. So lots of conversations happening in the chat. Feel free to share how you're feeling, what's resonating for you as we go through many, many slides. As you see some of this data, it might be touching your heart. So share that openly and respectfully. We want to have one mic, so please mute yourself if you're not speaking. Just make sure that mute button is clicked. And we want you to share your energy by sharing your face as well. So we're not in a room together, in a large conference room, in a space at one of the schools that we normally do this program. And so let's try to share our face as much as possible throughout this program. So thank you so much for, again, showing up today and just, you know, being with us for this next hour and a half as we dive into some of these issues. Again, take care of yourself, right? Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, you're standing up, you're stretching. You know, if you're feeling a little frustrated or a little sad as we see some of the data, you know, just take care of yourself. So thank you. I know that we were going to put up a poll to just checking in before we get going. If you were the weather, I'm not sure if the media team is ready to pop that poll up, but if you were the weather, how would you describe yourself today? Would you describe yourself as stormy? Would you describe yourself as sunny, cloudy, windy, rainy? I'll drop it in the chat again. And if you just want to, as you're listening, you know, let me know how you're feeling. Are you feeling cloudy, stormy, sunny, windy, rainy? Give us an idea of what's your weather flow right now. Yes, I see a couple of sunny happening. Yes. There's a poll that just popped up. So for those of you that can't see the poll, you can click on the poll as well and choose one of those. Someone's 70 degrees and sunny. Yes. Really being real cloudy. Yes, that's true. Bring your cloudiness as well. Sunny and warm. Appreciate that. Rainy. Great. So we're showing up in different spaces, in different ways. So Chris, if you want to stop the poll and maybe show us, give us an idea of how folks are feeling. All right, so as you can see, we have 46% of you are feeling sunny, 24% of you are feeling cloudy, 21% of you are feeling windy, 6% are feeling rainy, and 3% are feeling stormy. So I really appreciate you all checking in with yourselves at this moment, and we're going to get started. I'll pass it back over to Alyssa and Mariela.
Thank you, Kim. During today's Community Education Forum, we will hear from district staff regarding their efforts and progress related to pandemic schooling. We will also hear from parents and other stakeholders regarding their experiences. And lastly, we will provide information on how parents and stakeholders can be more involved in the decision-making at the school site and district levels. The purpose of this meeting, next slide. The purpose of this meeting is to foster partnerships and communication between families and LBUSD leaders and staff to ensure students' needs are being met during pandemic schooling. Our objectives are to uplift the challenges of families through their testimonials, review district shared data, and collectively gather solutions. The agenda this morning is as follows: the presentation on distant learning access and support, learning loss, tutoring, and academic support, a brief break with a poem presentation number 3 on social emotional support, then parent engagement, lastly, reflections and discussion with Superintendent Baker before closing. As we move through each section of the agenda, you are encouraged to use the chat box to participate and share your ideas. Remember, this is an opportunity for participants to gather information from the district, as well as a chance for the district to learn from each of you.
We're getting ready to get started. And on behalf of Superintendent Dr. Jill Baker, the entire LBUSD executive staff, school board members, community partners, and the planning committee, I'd like to just give them a brief shout out. Angie Salazar, Children's Defense Fund, myself, Jolene Tatum, she's a parent with LBUSD, Kim Tabari, Lilia Ocampo, she's also a parent with LBUSD, Dr. Lucy Salazar, she's one of the directors of organizational equity and engagement for our district, Mariela Sagado, another LBUSD parent, Nicole Gan-Ochi, she's a public advocate with Public Advocates, and Mr. Robert Tagorda, director of my department, Equity, Access, College, and Career Readiness. And of course, Ms. Marta Cota, Latinos in Action. We just welcome you and we thank you for spending part of your Saturday with us. We know you didn't have to be here today, but we're really grateful that you are. Now I'm going to introduce you to our event moderator, none other than Ms. Jolene Tatum. Jolene is a parent, a community advocate, an activist, very involved in our community. She is really down for the students and parents and families of Long Beach Unified School District. She's going to be the moderator for today, and I'm going to pass it on to Jolene. Take it away, Jolene.
Good morning. Thank you, Alyssa. I'm feeling sunny today, although my feet are freezing. I'm cold right now, so I have on my fuzzy socks. And this is exciting that I could be at a community forum with fuzzy socks on. So I'm really excited to be here this morning. I am going to serve as the event moderator. So part of my job is to help keep the conversation moving. I want to begin by saying thank you to our greeters and our welcome from Dr. Baker. And thank you to our, this morning what we were attempting to do, but I think it kind of got lost in translation, was making sure that we greeted our community in multi-languages. So I want to say thank you to John Sand that jumped in to help us make sure that people are being greeted in Khmer. Thank you to Mariela for giving our greeting in Spanish. And hopefully those who are in need of translation, interpretation, our needs are being met at this moment. So one thing that we'll be doing, this is all new to us. So we will be testing some things out this morning. So please forgive us if it seems like we're off a little bit because this is all new for us. So what I would like to do is ask for our media team to make sure that you have Mariela Salgado pinned for the next part of our presentation. So it's Mariela, Lilia Ocampo. Uh-oh. I got a lot of paper, so if you see me flinging paper, it's because I'm trying to keep up with myself. Rashika Henry, can you please make sure that all of them are pinned? So one thing that's going to help with our help for you to be able to see, because right now we have 90 people on Zoom, and we also have an audience watching on YouTube right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, you are seeing the people who are speaking. But if you're on Zoom, if you have us on, I have it on gallery view so that I could see all of your beautiful faces. But if you would like to be able to see the speakers only, just select speaker view that's in the far right of your corner. And what will happen is you'll be able to see the people who are in that section delivering that content. All right, so do we have our, also pin Chris Brown. Chris Brown is going to be our next presenter. So Mariela, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so Mariela is going to introduce us to our questions of the day. And what I would like to ask is each person that is brought on, please introduce yourself. Oh, I'm Jerlene. I am a parent, a community member. I have 4 children. I have 2 children currently in Long Beach Unified. So if you can do that when you get ready to go live, to start speaking, just let us know who you are. All right, Mariela.
Thank you, thank you. See, I wasn't too sunny. I was more a little bit on the windy side because I'm cold. So like many parents, the initial transition of closures in March was a shock. Grateful for the summer, we rebooted and we're hopeful for the fall. Parents, teachers, and district staff made the Herculean effort of onboarding 71,000 students online. We knew we'd have technical issues, but how frequently, how accessible, or how it impacted various groups was and has been at the forefront of this collective group. Based on last year's attendance drop-off rate, we had 96% of our students attend online in March, and then 79% in May, just 2 months later. as we had anticipated certain families, students such as English learners, students with disabilities, foster youth, homeless children would be most impacted. Some parents relied on their personal home devices to log on. Others used Chromebooks provided by school sites. Others had a combination like myself. And unfortunately, we've also had about 7,000 students we have not been able to connect, but I know that the district is adding resources to do home visits. No two families and environments and support systems are alike, yet we'll hear today we're not alone in some of these challenges. Personally, as a family who limited screen time, we weren't prepared to have two students online. We relied on district devices. I struggled with connectivity and mic issues for the first few weeks until I had a Chromebook replaced to Chromebook 6. And for my second daughter, I had the second Chromebook. I tried to replace it 3 times before I just gave up and purchased a personal device. I couldn't deal with adding more stress and anxiety to my second graders, so we purchased the laptop. Since the start of school, I've heard many stories regarding device platform issues, internet issues, hotspots, technical support, parent access to Canvas, and most recently, the impact that's having on children engagement and their attendance. LBUSD recognizes the unprecedented toll that COVID-19 has had on our students, particularly those who are among our most vulnerable. So numerous structures have been put in place to help them navigate these difficult times. We'd like to know your experience today. So I would like to start off by asking a couple of questions. Media team, can you please bring on the first series of questions? So today's questions, as noted here on the slide, these are the items that we will be reviewing. I would like to first have us go through a couple of poll questions. Can I please have the first poll question? What kind of devices are you all logged on? First, what kind of devices are your children currently using to log on to distant learning? What platforms are your children using to access synchronous instruction? And the third question, how reliable has your family's access to all of the virtual learning platforms been during the school year?
Can we ask
Please
our
take a
media
moment to
team
answer.
to please, can we ask our media team to please mute everyone? Thank you. Mariella, please unmute to continue. Thank you. Mariella, please unmute yourself. Okay.
I'm here.
Continue.
I'm just asking everyone to take a minute to answer the poll in front of you. As I said, it's 3 questions. What device are your children using to log on? What platforms are your children using to access synchronous instruction? And how reliable has your family's access to all of the virtual learning platforms been during the school year? We'll give everyone 1 more minute. And while we wait, if I can have Lilia Ocampo and Rashika Henry.
Hi, good morning. My name is Lilia Ocampo. And
hold on, Lilia. We're going to have the presentation from the district in a minute. I just wanted to introduce you.
Oh, okay.
We will also hear from Ms. Rashika Henry, an LBUSD teacher and parent. And now I'm going to present Mr. Chris Brown, Assistant Superintendent, Research and School Improvement. We will review the poll responses shortly, and I'll have Chris Brown come forward. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm not sure my introduction will be quite as cheery as Ms. Tatum's was, but my name is Chris Brown. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Research and School Improvement. I'm going to walk through a little bit of data with everybody around some of the questions that Ms. Salgado presented around attendance, groups having access, what percentage of access versus technical difficulties are we seeing, and really looking at some of the things that we've gathered over the first 3 months of school in this interesting year that we've had so far. So if we can go to the next slide, please, media team. So really there's a number of questions that we're going to use to address this topic of who's not consistently accessing distance learning. And like in most things, we actually have some pretty strong data compared to other districts nationwide, but we also have some areas where we definitely have to do some work, and we need to make sure that we are monitoring this moving forward at all times. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we really started looking at towards the beginning of this year was how many of our students are attending class live synchronously versus how many of our students are completing the work and attending class asynchronously. And so I'll talk briefly about the grade breakups and then also around some of the subgroups that were presented by your moderators. But for our elementary students, our TK through 5 students, about 95%, just under 95% of them are attending school live online with their teachers during their synchronous teaching time. And only about 0.4% are attending asynchronously, meaning they're completing work or doing something outside of the normal on-screen time to make sure that they're staying up with class. It's not the same 0.4% every week. It varies. So, in any given time period, it might be one student synchronous and then the next time period they're not, depending on whatever's happening. That asynchronous rate is actually pretty low, and we like seeing that. We do recognize that the overall rate of those two together is still slightly lower than it would be if we were in a traditional school year that was not impacted by COVID. But we can break that down a little bit more too, right, for our subgroups. And so we know that while these are our rates, they're not equitably distributed. So we do have some groups that are having synchronous rates as low as right around 90%, and other groups that are a little higher at about 96%. So for example, our African-American students have about 1% synchronous attendance rate TK through 5. So again, slightly lower, and about a 0.6% asynchronous attendance rate. So they're a little higher on the asynchronous and slightly lower on the live. For our homeless foster kids, it's almost exactly the same. It's about 91.5%, almost 92% live, and about 0.5% asynchronous. For our ELL students, it's about 94% live, 93.9 to be exact, and 0.4%. So it's really in line with what the district average is. And I would say that this district average is moving forward, but we wanted to show the whole picture because we know every month is a little bit different. It was definitely slightly lower than these numbers in September and has increased as we've gone. And this is data that's through November. For our Hispanic students in TK through 5, it's 94.5% live attendance and 0.4%. So you see it's right on there with the average that we have for the district overall. When we move on to grades 6 through 12, it's a little bit different. We see a slightly lower attendance rate overall, which is what we see in a traditional year as well. Again, this is a bigger drop than we would normally see, though, of students just not attending at all. We see about 87% of our students attending live synchronous instruction and about 0.8% attending asynchronous. So we have a few more of them who are taking the time to just not go to their Zooms for whatever reason that's barring them, but being able to try and catch up and make up that work to stay current and stay up with their classes moving forward in whatever way they can. So, and again, while these are the district averages, they're not the same across. They're within about 4% for most subgroups. So there's no groups that we have that are way down in like the 60% attendance rates or way up in the upper 90s. But we do break it down a little bit. So like, for example, for our Hispanic subgroup, or Latinx students, about 85.2% live attendance and 0.9% asynchronous. You can see just a slight variation there. For our ELL students, it's 84.5% live attendance and 0.9% asynchronous attendance. For African American students, it's 83% live and 1.1% asynchronous. So slightly shifted just a little bit. And for our homeless and foster students, it's 80% live and 1.3%. So that's, again, a group that we need to focus on. They're slightly lower on the live asynchronous or synchronous attendance rates. And so that's something we can start looking at, and we're being able to be able to provide this data to school sites so that they can start breaking it down for themselves and looking at which of their students seem to be more asynchronous or more synchronous or not checking in at all. Again, overall, our attendance is actually higher than it has been for some of the other districts that we talk to, but we still have some work to do to get all of our students attending all of the time. So that's sort of the raw numbers, but and one of the things that we talk about is when our students aren't attending, how do we get them to attend? Sorry, I just saw that pop up in the chat. I'm trying to monitor both. So someone asked about Pacific Islanders. 84% live attendance, 0.9% asynchronous attendance for a Pacific Islander group in that particular rate. For secondary and for elementary, it is 93% live attendance and 0.4% asynchronous attendance. So
hey, Mr. Brown, it's
Sure.
Jerlene. I just wanted to kind of step in for a moment.
Please.
So you are, for our presenters, you don't have to actively monitor our chat. We have a team that's monitoring our chat. We'd like to let our guests to know that we're going to try to respond the best way we can through chat. But we won't be able to answer everything. But what we will do is we will collect all this information and it will be categorized, and the district will have an opportunity to go through all the questions. So I just wanted our presenter to know. Continue, Mr. Brown. Like, what else do you have for us?
Perfect, because I'm sure there'll be stuff I don't answer. So if they pop up in the chat and we can look at them and get back to those responses, that would be great. All right, so obviously, we know that switching from traditional in-school to a remote learning, really there's connectivity issues, or there could be connectivity issues that are challenging attendance. And so what we look at is how many of our students are having connectivity issues, and that is calling. Now, I'll be very forthright. There are students that, we're doing home visits and things like that we haven't heard from. It's not a huge group of students. And so we don't know if their reasons are connection issues or otherwise, but a lot of families have told us they have connection issues. And so we're starting to look at what those percentages are, and then moving forward. So TK5 students, for example, about 0.5% of TK5 students are having connectivity issues or having reporting connectivity issues to the system. And all of the groups that we talk about in the previous discussion really fall between 0.2 and 1.0%. And so there's not huge differences between groups in the TK5, and it's very similar for our secondary. So we do see that, like, for example, our average is 0.51%, but our K-12, actually, our Hispanic families have reported at about 0.56% rate of connectivity issues. Our African Americans are about 1.0%. Our special education families are about 0.8%. So you can see the connectivity issues don't seem to make up the entirety of the gap in attendance that we're seeing. So we see slightly more than a 1% loss in attendance from where we would normally be, but we don't really see a 1% or higher group of people who are responding to connectivity issues. So we know that while connections are an issue for attendance, they're not our only issue for attendance for some of our families. And so that really provides some impetus for us to continue the work we're doing with families to reach out to find out what's going on and how we can support them attending the best we possibly can. The other thing we look at with remote learning, especially as Long Beach, we provide a robust program, is what's the fall off during the day? So how are we looking at attendance in the morning versus attendance in the afternoon? And so generally across all of these groups, we see between a 5.5 and a 7.5% increase in chronic attendance issues in the afternoon. So what that means is the number of students we have who can attend school at 93% of the time or less increases for periods that are after lunch, right, by about 5.5 to 7.5%. Across all groups, it's about the same, but just again, if we look at the district average is just over 5.5. Our African-American families, it's about a 6.8% increase in chronic attendance after lunch. For our Latinx, Hispanic families, it's about a 5.5% increase. For our ELL students, it's about a 7.5% increase, and same with our special education students. So you can see that certain groups definitely have a slightly bigger drop off in after lunch attendance with the online attendance. With asynchronous attendance, we don't track time because the student could do their work at any point during the day or evening and be counted as attended for that day. So we don't have a tracker for that. So this is just reflecting of live synchronous on with Zoom with my teachers during the school day. So we do know that we see a loss. Now, that is traditionally what we see as well. Attendance in the afternoon classes is generally lower in a traditional year. It's just not this big. It's generally between about 3.5 and 4% gap in a traditional school year. Can we have the next slide, please? So when we talk about the connectivity issues, which we know are 1%, and that's the aggregate, we do know that we had issues. I think like Ms. Delgado, you said, the first few weeks were rough, right? The first few weeks you had to get some things done. So here's where we are. We've given out as a district to families 6,200 hotspots. Interestingly enough, we can track how often the hotspots are used or how much data they've used. And we have, for the last 30 days, just over 4,000 of them that haven't even been turned on of the 6,200 that we have passed out. We've passed out about almost 23,000 Chromebooks, just under 23,000 Chromebooks to our families. And as of right now, all the requests for Chromebooks and hotspots have been filled. And then as families are continuing to request, we're continuing to fill those things. We do have Chromebooks and hotspots available for families who still need them, about 45,000 Chromebooks and just over 2,000 hotspots available. The other thing to look at is how many calls for support we're getting. And we broke this up into two things because there's two pieces of information here. So one is calls for support around like Canvas and Zoom. And the other is calls for support around hotspots, Chromebooks, logging in, hooking up to Wi-Fi, those types of things. And you can see here on the slide that in September, we received 230 emails for Canvas and Zoom support. October, it was down to 80, and in the month of November, we only had 11. So we've really been able to support our families in getting those issues resolved. For the Chromebook hotspot calls, we did that per day because there's a lot more of them that we've gotten. And so September, we averaged about 198 calls per day. In October, it was about 55 calls per day. And in November, we're down to averaging about 23 calls per day for support on Chromebook and hotspots. And the number one thing that we get really with connectivity is that idea of hooking up a district device to personal Wi-Fi, getting the Chromebook to work on the personal internet at home is a common question. Getting students to log into those because they've been used to logging in at school. So a lot of it is log on questions or connecting to the local internet questions. And that's sort of the number one thing we hear about that. With Zoom, it was of course how to log in. With Canvas, the number one request we got most recently, currently, is how do parents become observers, things like that. So those are the kind of questions we're getting at the moment. Can I have the next slide, please? So when we talk about support, the site is really the source of support for families. The ratio of people at the site to help families is much greater at sites than it is at the central office. But we've really given the sites a lot of information about, depending on what the issue a family's having is, who they should call as a site at the district so that they could then provide that support to the family. And if at the last case they can't provide that support for the family, who the family should call. So we really would like everything to flow through the sites. The sites know their families, the sites interact with their families, and then the sites have all the resources they need to speak to a Canvas issue, a Zoom issue, a Chromebook issue. And if someone at the site can't answer it, they have a list of exactly who they can call at the district office to get that support that they can then pass on to the families. So that we have that easier support. We don't have all the families in the district trying to call one person at the central office where that person would not be able to provide timely support. We call the sites can interact with you in a much more timely manner. So that's the model of technical support and technical connectivity that we're trying to roll out through the system, and have been better and better throughout the year. I will say that we get better a little bit as we go along. So,
Right,
hey,
Miss.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Chris. I really appreciate knowing that the district is adapting to some of these technical issues. I know I saw Anne Marie on the chat state that she had some issues and she unfortunately did not get a call back from the helpline. If I may, I want to just circle back and look at our poll results to sort of get some responses in terms of, you know, are we having some technical issues in access concerns from parents? So what kind of devices are your children currently using to log on into distant learning? So it looks like there's a majority that's going through their personal laptop. Again, like myself, I have a hybrid approach here. You have 20% of our participants who are logging onto a district Chromebook. There's some platforms being used, so it looks like we have a variety. There's a hybrid also. 43% are using Canvas and Google Meet. 8% are other. Please drop in the chat for those of you that are using other. Let us know what are the teachers using at your campus. And lastly, how reliable has your family's access to all of virtual learning platforms been during this school year? This is a really important question because I know that attendance may not reflect in the way the school district may be taking in attendance, may be different from what our own personal experiences are. So we have 22% that are always reliable, 39% usually reliable, and 35% somewhat reliable, somewhat unreliable. So we have two certain leading the front here between reliable and somewhat. I know that as a parent who is semi-technically savvy, I say semi, I have to troubleshoot my kid's laptop, frankly, just about every other day. There's always a new platform being introduced or a new link I need to connect. So having a parent at home, I know has been advantageous for my children. But I think it's important for us to also learn what's happening at, you know, on the front lines with some of our parents. So right now I'd like to introduce Lilia Campo and Ms. Rashika Henry. Lilia, if I may, can you please share us what your experiences have been like for your children? Why is it important for you to share your story?
Thank you, Mariela. It's important for parents, and not only for me, but for all the parents to tell our stories, because that way we put a face and a feeling to what has been shown to us, to the data, because we're seeing in the data some of the things, and we can kind of see if they match. In my experience, my kids have been more so internet that is more so reliable. I have to buy a new modem, router, and but still some days they just disconnect and then have to go back and then disconnect and have to go back, as I have gone sometimes 6 times. And it's not every day, but it happens. So there is you don't get what you lost while you were out. So and then the streaming of the information and the connection that you could make and be able to really take something from what you've been taught is kind of cut. And so that affects. And adding to that, that sometimes we live in small spaces. My case, I live in 2 rooms and little house. So I have to put my kids in the room, and then I am also a student at LBCC. So I'm in the living room, and it is a small space where everything that is big, like a movement, something drops and make a noise. So all of those things are against what we're trying to do here. So that's my story, and it is important for every parent to share the stories. That's mine, but I'm sure you have your own story, and we want to hear from you as parents. And also, we want like our kids to be welcome at the classroom, not only to say, oh, they're welcome, but they make them feel that they're welcome, so they will be best prepared to be able to engage on education of that day or every day. So that is why it is important to tell your story so you can listen and then connect to the data. Thank you, Mariela. Back to you.
Thank you, Lilia. We certainly want to also hear from Ms. Rashika. Ms. Rashika, who is an LBUSD teacher and parent.
Hello, good morning. I am Ms. Rashika Henry. I am a third grade teacher currently at Gompers K-8. I am also a parent of 2 LBUSD students, a 4th grader and a 9th grader. As a parent, if I am being extremely honest, I am relying heavily on both of my girls' teachers to provide my girls with everything they need. Because as an educator, that's exactly what I'm doing. I have had challenges with some of my students, particularly my students who are second language learners, whose parents may not know exactly what is expected of them. And a lot of their parents are working. And so some of my students are not attending class because they don't want to, because they're having connectivity issues. But the language barrier makes it difficult for my students to be able to attend when their parents are not there to push them or to help them get on, or XYZ. There are so many reasons that they're not able to. What I do as an educator is just promote learning, try and get my students excited about learning. Although it is challenging, I'm always starting off with something in the social emotional learning field. I also start off with PE as well to get them excited and energized. So many of them are extremely tired in the morning and they don't want to do anything. So I'm definitely tapping into how are they feeling? What's making you feel like this? We're watching videos. I'm just encouraging them in so many different ways. Every month I have something for them in a social distance atmosphere. I have a table in front of my gate in front of Gompers, and my students are able to come by and pick up materials. Just seeing me gets them excited. They don't get to touch me, they don't get to be close to me, but just building them up and encouraging them, having student of the week. They're not getting any prizes or anything, but they're excited to just be acknowledged. Every single morning, every morning, I say good morning to each and every one of my students by name. Yes, it takes time, but them being acknowledged just with a good morning, Alyssa, it makes them feel good. I have a schedule that kind of helps to alleviate some of the stress for the parents. I do a one-on-one. I do a 3 with me when my students are struggling. On Fridays, I am live in the morning. And then after that, who needs help? Come in. This is your tutoring time. I'm going to work with you one-on-one. I am going to work with 3 of you together. You don't want to turn your camera on with everybody else? Well, you're going to come with me on Friday at 1 o'clock, and you'll just have to show me your screen. I'm the only one who's going to see you. And just respecting that space, respecting who they are as individuals, just building those relationships with them, letting them know that they matter to me, letting them know that you're stressed out. I am too, but guess what? We're gonna make it together. Not just bombarding them with assignments after assignment after assignment. Yes, I'm teaching the standards, you better believe it. But am I giving them a test every single day? No. I'm doing different things and creative things to make sure that I know that their needs are being met in every single way. So I am struggling, but I am struggling and suffering well. And I encourage my students to do the same thing. During parent conferences, I'm listening to my parents. What can I do to be a better champion for your child? What can I do? Just letting them know that I'm here for them and just letting them know that it's normal to not know what's going on with your child during the day. Because as a parent, I don't really know what's happening with my daughter every day. But on the weekend, I'm gonna talk to her. She's gonna show me her Flipgrid and I'm gonna be excited about it. But as parents and as educators, we have to give grace to everybody, grace to our students, grace to our parents, those kids who are not coming every day. I'm not gonna mark you late on your assignments. I'm not. I'm gonna ask you, what can I do to help you turn it in on time? Is there a reason? And just meeting them where they are. So that's my story.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Ms. Henry. It really, as I see in the chat, I think parents are looking for that patience and grace for our students. They are looking for, you know, we're all in this together and we're all experiencing it very differently. And I see that you see your kids also being absent. So it definitely, I think there's a slight disconnect between, I think, how we are addressing attendance and, you know, what we're experiencing at home or as a teacher, what you're seeing in terms of connection and connectivity, access. Certainly also, like I said, I troubleshoot my kids all day long and it's taken me away from my work. So that's an added stress. I do believe that it's important to also see the opportunity. So again, I encourage people that are on in our meeting here to please provide us your experiences on the Zoom chat. We want to hear from you. One of the points that Mr. Brown said earlier was that we have 83% of our Black students who are attending. I know that's probably lower than we've had before. So I think it's a good point for our district to consider what is it going to do moving forward. Should we extend this? If our distant learning will be extended throughout the school year, what does that look like and how will we prioritize or ensure that teachers have the tools and the resources to be like you, where you're giving us patience and grace and helping our students show up in class and help them along the way. I'm going to pass it back to Ms. Jerlene Tatum.
Thank you, Mariela and Lilia and Rashika and Mr. Brown for that. Again, just folks, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. One thing that we're going to be doing throughout, so I'm going to make a couple requests. Our LBUSD presenters, you have 7 minutes to present. If you go over your 7 minutes, I am going to jump in and stop you. If you can do it under 5 minutes, it would be greatly appreciated because we are now starting to press against our time. Parents and presenters, let's pretend like we're at a school board meeting and let's take up 3 minutes just to make sure that we're able to get everybody's voice in today. I do want to go back to Rashika though. One of the things that in the planning and conversation for this event was the voice of an educator. So often we have these conversations and the conversation has been parent and decision maker administrator, but we are not bringing our educators into this conversation. So today I just want to again thank Ms. Rashika for being present today, sharing her story, not only as an educator, someone who's clearly passionate about our children, but someone who has children as well. So again, thank you. We're gonna move into our next presentation. So can I get, let's see, who's coming up next? Can I get Brian Moskowitz? I hope I said your name properly. April Parker, Dr. Alejandra Moses, and Melissa Morgan. So can we make sure that everyone is pinned? Can we queue up to question number 2? So as Mariela was going through, there are 4 major questions that are being asked today. So the presentations are being broken down into each question. So go ahead and see, I'm trying to see who we got pinned. So I got 2 screens going on right now. So thank you for our media team, Chris, that is leading that up with the district. All right, Brian, I don't know, I don't see you. Let's see, let me make sure I have the proper view. Brian, if you are here, Brian, I can't see you. Please just let us know that you are here.
I am here and I can see myself. So
Ooh, well, that's good. If you can see yourself, that's a good thing. So we're gonna go ahead and Melissa, are you present?
Hey, I am still here.
All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and lead into Brian, and then Melissa, you can bring our other voices in, okay? All right, thank you so much, Brian. Brian, please self-introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Brian Moskowitz. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Early Learning in Elementary Schools. And for these next 5 to 7 minutes, we'd like to talk about how we are mitigating learning loss across our K-12 system. I'm actually gonna, if you could, Chris, I'm gonna have you Also Penn, Chris Lund, and Jay Camarino. We're going to take these 7 minutes and really break it down by level. So we could just give you a snapshot of how we address learning loss across our 3 levels. I just want to start off by thanking Ms. Henry. She actually could have done my presentation for me because she really spoke to the role of the teacher as being the key person to making sure that we are meeting the needs of our students. So thank you, Ms. Henry, for sharing your perspective. And I think that connects well with what I'll share here as well. You can see up in the top right, at the elementary level, we really look at our year, any year and this year, in 3 components. We call them trimesters. And the end of the first trimester is right around this time. And kind of the hallmark of the end of a trimester at the elementary level is that parent-teacher or parent-guardian conference. I'm sorry, teacher-guardian conference. And you heard Ms. Henry reference that. That's a really critical time because from September until the end of November, our teachers are collecting formative assessment data. How are our students performing academically? Where are they at socially and emotionally? And Ms. Henry referenced how she is collecting that data, connecting with her students throughout the first part of the year. With that information, we hold our parent conferences, our guardian conferences, and we set up our plan for the rest of the year. How will we as a partnership address the needs of our students going forward? So you can see in that graphic up above, we will be moving into a more intensive tutoring and intervention phase starting in January. And that's very typical because now that we know our students and we know what they need and we've had that parent conference, we can move into a more intensive intervention. But we aren't waiting until January to do that because in our elementary distance learning model, and you heard Ms. Henry reference this, we actually have time every day where teachers can work with students whole group in what we call synchronous instruction, where the entire class is together. And there are times in every day where the teacher can pull a small group of students, individual students, 2, 3, 4 students, 5, 6 students, and do small group intervention. And that's happening on a daily basis. I do want to point out as I say this though, and recognize while we try for systemness and we try for coherence across our 45 elementary sites, with 30,000 students, we know that the experience isn't exactly the same for everyone while we try to make it so. What I would always encourage is please parents, if you ever have a concern, please talk to your child's teacher. People like Ms. Henry, any teacher will be ready to listen to that. If that doesn't work for you, your child's school principal absolutely is a resource for you to address whatever need you may have. And ultimately, if you can't get the support you need from the teacher or the principal, you are more than welcome to call our district office, the elementary office, the middle school CADE office, or the high school office, and we will have staff that will meet your needs. So there's always ways to help you, but I would encourage you to start with the teacher and the principal. In addition to that help that teachers like Ms. Henry are providing on a daily basis in whole group and in small group, we also have teachers on special assignment, TOSAs, who are providing one-on-one and small group intervention. I was just in a Zoom session the other day where I saw a specialist teacher, a TOSA, take a group of 3 students into a breakout room and do that intervention while the regular classroom teacher continued on with her lesson. So that's happening on a regular basis. And then just one more piece I want to add is starting in January, as I referenced, all of our Title I schools with additional district funding will be providing either after school tutoring and or Saturday school for those students and families that are interested. I don't know what the level of interest will be among families because we know that some of our students are already tired after a full day of being online and working with their students or with their teachers in a Zoom session. But we will be providing that for those families that want it, based on those students who are not meeting grade level standards. So just again, a snapshot. I think what's really important to know is that the role of the teacher in collecting that formative assessment data and providing that small group instruction at the ends of our days, and then knowing that as a system, we're moving into that tutoring and intervention phase in January for those students who may need that additional support because they're not yet meeting standards. Dr. Lund, would you like to share what you're working on at the middle school and K-8 level?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Mr. Moskowitz. And Chris, if you go to the next slide, please. At the middle K-8 level, I guess I'd break down our interventions into 2 broad categories. One is the sort of tier 1 work that we call our core program, our rich, robust instructional program. And part of that is just the amount of time that our teachers are spending with students. So I put 2 graphics here that came out of an ad that compared districts. And you see on the right here, at the elementary level, our students spend on average 255 minutes with their teachers. At the middle school level, it's 300 minutes with their teachers. And you can see by comparison to other districts, our students in Long Beach are getting more instructional time than in other districts. And I think that's really important to acknowledge. In addition, we have built out certain courses that are part of our intervention as part of the master schedule. And you see a listing of certain courses that we offer: CCR, which is an English intervention course, our ELD course, our math development course, and our writing courses. And 83% of our schools have these courses built out as part of their program so that students have access to an intervention as part of their regular coursework. And then finally, the number of our teachers at the middle school level that are taking advantage of our scaled grading system to really give grace to our students around the grades and the grading system. So half of our teachers are actually utilizing scaled grading. And we have 6 sites with over 80% of the teachers that have enabled scaled grading as part of their grading structure. In addition to that core program, you see various interventions that our sites use and the number of schools that correlate to that. Similar to what Mr. Moskovitz shared, really that in-class sort of intervention that occurs in that first bullet, as Ms. Henry shared, just that opportunity to release the rest of the students to do independent work and really provide some small group or one-on-one intervention to students during the class time. In addition, 10 of our schools have a TOSA, which is a teacher on special assignment that supports small group work within classroom as well as additional pull out or additional time with small groups of students that need assistance in both reading and math. Several of our schools are offering before school and after school tutoring currently. Some of our schools are taking advantage of lunchtime as an additional time to invite students for additional support. And we have set up a 0-period intervention course across 8 schools that's specifically designed for our newcomers. So this is students that are new to the country, learning English, and to be able to provide that targeted language development within that course. Across these various interventions, roughly 3,500 of our students are taking advantage of these interventions currently. We are expanding our interventions to include some Saturday school programs in the winter, second trimester, as Mr. Moskovitz referenced. So we'll see that number increase accordingly. What this doesn't include is really all the attendance interventions that our schools are doing in addition to these academic interventions. The home visits, the one-on-one phone calls, the personal outreach, that's really been an important part of our fall intervention work to make sure that our students are in class. We also have certain progress monitoring tools that we're using. So we did have some required assessments that we asked teachers to give at both the elementary and middle school level. And we're closely monitoring those results as well as the grades and attendance data that Mr. Brown referenced. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Camarino, Dr. Camarino.
Jabdi Absul, good morning, buenos dias. Thank you so much, everyone. Unfortunately, my slide is a little bit different than the one I had prepared for everyone. I have asked Mr. Itzen if he could please refresh. The main thing that I wanted to share was just some pictures that I had in there that I added that had a lot of our staffs, like in the elementary level, like at the middle school level, where I want to just, first of all, stop and thank all of our staff, teachers, counselors, and administrators who have gone out to homes, thank you, Mr. Itzen, who have gone out to all the homes of our students to reach out, to connect with them since March, since we had this pandemic happen on our campuses. So we have had so many home visits that continue to happen even to this day with, again, counselors, teachers, and administrators. So I want to thank everyone first, especially those who are watching and those that are a part of this Zoom meeting. We have a lot of our teachers who are available to students during their conference periods, lunch, before and after school, that have targeted their students for support and have had opportunities for students to come and really meet the needs of what's going on with their connectivity. Lessons that are online, distance learning that we know is very challenging and very tough. We have targeted interventions at our campuses for our EL and special ed students that are happening mostly after school. As Mr. Moskovitz had mentioned already, and also Dr. Lund, it's a real challenge to have students who are distance learning on their computers and still wanting to ask for or need assistance via Zoom again, hence adding more time to be on the Zoom. So we're strategically looking for assistance that's more one-on-one with students or in breakout rooms. We have the Urban Math Collaborative that serves as a model at 3 of our sites. It's at Jordan, at Cabrillo, and at Wilson. And a lot of our deans and intervention specialists are using that model to really support our students in strategic ways. So that's served as a model with the resources and supports that those math collaboratives have been so successful with at our schools that we're deploying at other sites also. We have designated tutoring time and help by not just teachers, but also students. We have learned that from even pre the pandemic, that a lot of our students have found great success in feeling supported and getting help from other students. A lot of our juniors and seniors who have been real leaders on our campuses have reached out to our underclassmen or even other students that are at the same grade level or in the same classes to actually have opportunities to support students and also get paid while they're being supports for our students through homework help and peer tutoring. So we want to commend those students that are true leaders that are not only just assisting our staff, but assisting their peers and colleagues. And lastly, what I wanted to cover is since the quarter ended the first week of November, we have strategically looked at all of our students that have received D's and F's, as well as the middle school level, to really focus in and connect with students that have had the struggles. Our D and F rates, not just in Long Beach, but across the nation, have increased substantially. And the last thing that I'll leave with is, part of the connection is the connectivity and the connections to other students. So I know that we have had a lot of teachers like Ms. Henry who have reached out, and we've shown a lot of grace with our cameras being turned off and having students the leeway to be able to have cameras off as they're in class. But another thing to consider that we want to send a message out to, and you're the first to hear it, is to have a concerted effort, a PSA, if you'd like, a public service announcement, to have our students to try to turn their cameras on. Often the 3 of us as level supervisors and also our principal supervisors in our levels go and do classroom visits with our administrators. And so many of our students have their cameras off for various reasons. And it's a real challenge to be able to be a teacher and be able to feel like you're making connections with students when so many cameras are off. And again, we're not forcing anyone to turn cameras on. We want to just be able to see and connect and be able to see one another, because I think our students as well have mentioned that they'd like to see their friends and classmates in class while they're in a distance learning situation. So again, we're going to start to ask our students when and if possible to encourage them to turn cameras on, because again, we want to be able to connect with our students, be able to see one another, support one another. I know a lot of them are texting each other or calling each other either during class or even after class, but we'd like them to make sure that they have those connections, because again, our work is a lot of work that's dealt with in a social manner that we want to see and connect with one another. And we really want to push for students to have their cameras on and encourage that to happen in our schools. So again, I want to just say thank you to all. Thank you to our parents. Thank you to our community. So many people have been supportive in getting us through this pandemic, especially when it centers around our students and their education. And as hard as we're working and all these interventions that we're trying to do and connecting with everybody as much as possible, we can't do this alone. A forum like this one, communication with one another, support from all of our stakeholders, support from community members are really going to get us through. We're trying our best, and know that a lot of us here, from teachers to college aides to office staff to district administrators to counselors, and especially our teachers, we've had a lot of sleepless nights and the challenge to get our students through. But we're trying our best and we're trying our hardest. We're not perfect, but I know as a collective group, we're doing a lot of great work and making a lot of impact with our students. And again, for our students who are watching, continue to show that resilience and patience and keep working forward. We can't wait to see you again on our campuses and know that we're going to look back at this and know we're going to have a lot of work to do to catch back up again, but we're all trying our hardest. And thank you all.
Thank you so much. We're going to start to transition so that we can hear some parent stories. We have April Parker and also Dr. Alejandra. They are on deck to share next. April, are you there?
I am here.
Oh, great. So what we want to talk about now, our next question is really about how can we ensure that students with the greatest needs have access to tutoring and additional support during the pandemic to minimize learning loss. So would love to hear from you, your experience with tutoring, additional academic support and learning loss. What's happening for you?
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is April Parker. I am the mother of 6 and involved African-American parent, a foster parent to children with developmental disabilities, a Long Beach business owner, and a children and community advocate. Although my family structure is quite unique, I believe the challenges that we're facing are not unique to just my family, but pervasive throughout the homes of Long Beach Unified School District. Since March of 2020, we've literally been running our home like a school. Our kids affectionately have renamed our downstairs to COVID Academy. And I'd like to share some of the stories and highlight some of the things that we're facing at COVID Academy. At COVID Academy, the cameras are always on. I'm the principal, I get to choose. Our kitchen table is transformed into a classroom with students from grades 3 to 9. On our wall, you'll find motivational quotes and classroom rules to help our children respect the fact that there are other students learning. Next, you'll find the bell schedule and the class schedule, highlighting breaks and lunch times. Each and every one is different, even between our students who are in the same grades at different Long Beach schools. Every schedule is different. No one takes a break at the same time. No one has lunch at the same times. Why can't they all just eat lunch at the same time? I often ask myself, that would actually make the trek to the school to pick up lunch actually a practical thing to do. Even with printed schedules, the children still need help finding their Zoom links because each teacher seems to hide them in different locations. They need help navigating daily to their classes because each day brings a brand new schedule. This is one of the most frustrating things for our family. The conversation normally goes, oh, I can't get into class. Oh, what day is it? Oh, is it block? Oh, what time is it? Oh, wait, let me check my schedule. Oh, my teacher won't let me in. This happens repeatedly. How, I think, would my children ever manage to get to class if I actually had to leave home to get to work? Beside each one of my children is their bell schedule, their class schedule, a water bottle, snacks, a stack of books, and a laptop. Due to all the technical issues we faced with the school issue Chromebooks, we had to purchase regular laptops to ensure that we had consistent access to the schools, as well as adequate parental controls. Because the school is the administrator for the Chromebooks, we can't implement the safety protocols that we need to keep our children safe. Our children are struggling and they feel like they're actually not learning. They sit at the computer screen trying to stay engaged in order to earn participation points or play a chance to play Kahoot. After hours of online school, most days they spend hours after school navigating Canvas and Google Classroom to find, complete, and submit assignments. Each teacher has their own requirements and their own ways that they need them to submit. My husband and I spend hours a day trying to provide academic support to our children. We are, I suppose, their de facto teachers because normally there's no teacher or tutor available when they can't get into class or when they don't understand an assignment because it wasn't taught in today's class. Their teachers often mute mics, disable chats, and take days to answer emails if they answer at all. The voices of my children echo into my office, which is adjacent to their classroom. How am I supposed to do this if I haven't even learned it? Their voices resound, their loss of hope and slowly fading confidence. Long Beach Unified School District's its teachers and its administrator are some of the best in the state. That's why I can't understand why the clear and foreseeable problems our families are facing, trying to support our education, supporting the education of our children continue to exist. My children are struggling, not because they're in foster care or because they have IEPs or disabilities. They're struggling because we're failing, even though we're doing our best. Please don't take this as criticism, but my sincere desire to be a part of the solution. And I'm thankful to be able to provide you with my perspective from my COVID Academy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, April. COVID Academy. You know, when you started talking, your voice sounds so chipper. It sounded like you're telling a really positive story. And then as I started listening to the words, I realized, oh yeah, I feel you. I'm having those experiences. I'm Melissa Morgan. I'm a parent of 2 girls, a middle school student, a high school student, high achieving and gifted programs, and they're struggling. I'm actually dealing with a terrible migraine right now. It's been like 5 days going. And I noticed my daughters have been getting headaches. And I think it's just this constant technology, right? And just putting it in and all this extra sensory stuff that we have to do. Thank you for painting that picture of how you're supporting your kids and all that extra work. I've been talking with my kids a lot, wondering, how are your friends doing? Knowing that there are kids out there who may look like us as Black folks, or even other kids who from other backgrounds where their parents are out and not around, or kids with students with disabilities. There's a lot of concern. Quick question for you. Do you have any recommendations or solutions around how that you would love to see the school district address learning loss or tutoring really quickly?
No, definitely. One of the big things for me is safety for my children, and something needs to happen with the Chromebooks to either put in different protocols, keep kids in class. If we are not actively monitoring our students, although they may be logged into their Zoom classes, they're going to be on Instagram, they're going to be playing Fortnite or whatever they're playing on their laptop. So there needs to be a greater effort to keep them in class, and also provide the teachers with aides, and not just other students, but maybe engage some of the parents to be in the classrooms to help monitor and keep the children engaged. It's a lot to have one teacher monitor all these children through Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you so much. We want to hear from Dr. Alejandra now, another parent who's going to share her experience. Do you have COVID Academy over there, Dr. Alejandra?
That we do. We don't call it COVID Academy, but very much the similar setup. My name is Dr. Alejandra Albarran Moses. I am a parent of a first grader at Patrick Henry, and I'm coming solely as a parent because I know I work with some of you in other capacities. I think April said everything I needed to say, so that's short. No, just joking. Yeah, so my situation is a little bit different. I understand that I only have one child, could not imagine doing this with 6. But because I am a working mother and my husband works but has to be on site, we have partnered with another family and take turns caring for our children and supporting their education. And because of the extra work and time commitment as to, well, all working parents, we've had to hire somebody to come and help our children both with the language piece, because it is a dual immersion program, as well as with just somebody sitting there and connecting them when they need to be connected. We're fortunate enough last December to receive a Chromebook before all of this went down, which was very helpful, as the only other computer in our household was a computer that I worked for one of my jobs. And that Chromebook worked perfectly fine in the spring, came back this year, and the amount of connectivity issues that we've had with that computer have been overwhelming and incredibly stressful, because I am somebody who likes rules and I like being on top of things. And so the mornings when my daughter has to sign on late, or I have to get my personal computer for her to use, I realize not only am I afraid then of her getting marked not present, but I also realized that once she is signed in, she is now 10-15 minutes behind, and her teacher, as wonderful as she is, quite literally says, sorry, I can't re-explain that to you, just try your best, or we can talk about it later. And we never talk about it later. My child is frustrated. She came out of kindergarten loving school, loving that she was speaking another language, loving that she had learned how to read. This year, we're finding that we're being told she's behind in her reading, which in and of itself wouldn't bother me, but it's not that I think that she's behind. I think that she just she misses the connection to her friends. She misses the opportunities to connect even with her teacher, right? She loved her teacher last year, and I bet she could love this teacher as well. We find that my daughter is actually on doing schoolwork from 9 a.m., which is the time that Patrick Henry starts, to 5 p.m., not because any particular project takes that long, but because there is so much work that they have given her to do. I think that also feeds into her frustration with the current academic setting. And my big concern is, I don't care where my child is on the spectrum. But I do care that she loves school. I do want her to identify as a positive reader, as a young little scholar, and seeing that lost every day and that decreasing every day just breaks my heart, because my background, I have a PhD in education. Education is my heart and soul, right? And so seeing that loss for her is beyond frustrating, in addition to seeing her kind of fall further and further behind because of those few missed moments of online time, or the frustration with, you know, the teachers, not inability per se. I think that she has a wonderful teacher, but you know, it is challenging, as April said, when you have so many students, to be able to give the students the time or to really focus in on, oh wait, this child needs to catch up when everyone else maybe is already caught up, right? So I thank you all for giving me a few minutes to share kind of the challenges. And from our perspective, I know that you know, the spectrum of challenges is there across the board for families. And one of the things that I keep hearing from the school district is, oh, we give the teachers grace. And I 100% want to give the teachers grace. But the truth of the matter is I don't hear it back. I don't hear anyone saying we're giving parents grace, because it is hard to be a working parent or to be a two-parent working household and supporting our child who's also working the same hours as we are to continue to excel in her education, even though for sure we do try. So thank you, and I'll stop there to try to keep to my time.
Thank you, Dr. Alejandra. You've got a PhD in education. Like we're talking, hearing parents here, you know, we've got incredible backgrounds, incredible ideas. There's so much conversation being added to this chat. It sounds like we can be maybe a little bit more creative, innovative, and seek out each other's ideas. Because I think we're going to be able to solve some of these issues if we're really listening to one another, engaging one another, and like you said, sharing that grace in all directions. My child was marked absent for a class yesterday, and she was heartbroken. One day, one of her connections closed out, and she started crying because she was panicked. She wants so badly to be in school, and she's in middle school. So our kids are feeling this, our teachers are feeling this, as parents we're feeling this, we know the district's feeling this, but it sounds like we're gonna have to figure out some better ways to work with one another to solve these problems, these challenges. We are going to shift now. I'm gonna put some ice on my head. So do a moment of self-care. We're gonna take a little interlude. Geraldine Tatum is gonna share with us a poem called Passion in Action. And then we're gonna be moving to Dr. Simon, Erica May, and John San, who are gonna share their stories for our third segment. Geraldine?
Can you hear me? All right, so give me just a moment to get set up. Thank you so much, Melissa, and thank you to everyone who has presented so far. And the parents that are sharing their stories, I just want to thank everyone for being so brave in this space and sharing their stories. And the one goal of today is to kind of juxtapose the data that has been shared by, and information that is being shared by the district, and lining it up to the stories from the parents. Does it align? Because one thing that we've discovered, although the district is providing so many different services and resources to us, there seems to be a gap. There seems to be some vacuum that parents are not either getting the information or not receiving the services or not receiving them in the way that they are intended. So, but what I would like to do at this moment is invite everyone to please stand up, stretch your legs. If you need to go to the restroom, just keep your volume up so that you can hear what's next. I'm still trying to get set up. I'm having some technical difficulties over here. Also, I just want to acknowledge the fact that we are all doing something new and different right now, and acknowledge people for being patient as we go through this process. Okay, so almost set up, but anyway, get up, stretch your limbs, shake a little bit. You can even practice some of that deep breathing. Again, like what Melissa was talking about, the headaches and the different things that our children are encountering from their continuous time on screen time. I mean, I think we're all probably experiencing something similar. So I always think about, if I'm having challenges, then my children may be having them as well. Okay, so I am almost set up. Just give me just a moment. And can we make sure that the rest of our presenters are lined up? I know Melissa called everyone out. And to our team, I just want you all to know I'm having some technical difficulties. So if you are not getting my communications, that's because they're not going through. So I'm trying to keep up with everyone. Okay, so I'm gonna, give me just a moment. need to. Again, thank everyone for being so patient. All right. Okay, make sure my head is not cut off. So can someone let me know if you're able to see me? If you're able to see me, okay, am I in view? Can someone just holler out that you can see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Yeah, we can see you.
All right, because I can't see myself right now.
You're good.
Thank you. So I dedicate this to the parents, to the educators, to people who are out there making things happen, to those who have brought this event together. And I also want to give a special shout out to Martha Coda. She is one of the main reasons this is taking place today. This happens to be the 5th opportunity the community has been able to gather together with the school district. So I'm going to recite a poem, Passion in Action. There's no such thing as an answer to a question unasked. And there's no way to find yourself until you take off the mask and get rid of all of those thoughts about chasing your dreams and start having some thoughts of catching every one of those things. Because there's a world of opportunity that is waiting for you, but it's passion in action that make dreams come true. It's by grace and by faith and by fate that at this time, at this place, we've crossed paths. And this fork in the road is great because this intersection is a marketplace for life lessons. You've seen things on your path that I didn't see on mine. I've seen things on my path that you didn't see on yours. These are my expressions of pain and the pleasure and the risk and the rewards. It is the concentrated formula that made me, as your collective experiences made you. Now we're all on a journey and we've come a long way, but today is that day that marks in a significant way that what is behind you is behind you. And in some ways that binds you into a state of reminiscence and reflection, a state of introspection. It's a good place to visit, but you do not want to stay there. For what is before you is before you. And I implore you to experience the magnitude of this moment. Today is the link between potential and promise. This moment is yours for the making. Success is yours for the taking. The future is yours for the shaping. So as they say, the world is yours. If these things seems too much to you, realize that today is the bridge between dreams and dreams come true. I don't know how you define success, but it has something to do with moving from where you are to where you want to be. So let's be about the business of transforming dreams into reality. To accept or reject the mission, you got to choose between the two, but it's passion and action that make dreams come true. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having something to prove, but it's passion and action that make dreams come true. Believe in yourself and know that the determination within you is greater than the past that is chasing you, greater than the obstacles in front of you, greater than the pressures that surround you. They are no match for who you are destined to be. They are no match for what you're destined to do. But it's passion and action that make dreams come true. Put your passion in action to make your dreams come true. Passion in Action, written by Jason Galden. Thank you. Now, I couldn't see myself, y'all. I see the clap. Thank you so much. All right, you guys are back from the bathroom? That was for you, Miss Parker. That was for you, Dr. Baker. That was for you, Alyssa. That's for everyone that's out there doing this work. So let's go ahead, and I believe all of our next guests are pinned. So let's get them queued up. Let's see, this is going to be, oh, Dr. Simon. Dr.
Yes, ma'am.
Simon, social emotional support. So far, we've already heard some stories that tie into the social emotional support of our young people. We're gonna have 2 more parents, Erica May and John San. So can I just get a shout out? I see Erica. John, holler out, I don't see you.
Hola.
All right, yeah, hello, John. Okay, and Dr. Simon.
Yes, ma'am.
And Nicole Ochi, where are you?
Here I am.
All right, so I'm gonna be bringing Nicole. I know she can self-introduce, but I had just wanted to share a little bit about Nicole. One of the reasons this is taking place is because in Long Beach, there's an informal group of parents that have support from different organizations. One of them is Public Advocates. And Nicole is a staff member of Public Advocates here to support families. And they've been providing support here in Long Beach since 2017. And Nicole is our legal go-to. So when we show up to those board meetings and we have like legal jargon, that's because Nicole has taken the time to make sure that we're properly educated on how to be able to speak the right lingo and understand it. So thank you, Nicole. Go ahead and take yourself off of mute. And
great, thank you.
Passing it over to you.
Thanks, Darlene, and thanks so much to everyone who's shared already your powerful stories. This section is really going to focus on the social emotional well-being and mental health of children and families, and we know that it's crucial for children and families to be okay in order to learn. We also know that long before COVID shut down schools, there were existing racial and socioeconomic disparities in terms of experience with trauma and access to resources, and that those disparities have just widened as schools have shut down. So as we continue this conversation, we know we're all going through it right now, but we also know that some of us are going through it more because of structural racism and other barriers. And so with that, I really want to hand it off to Dr. Simon to answer sort of this question of how can Long Beach students and families receive the mental health support needed to deal with the increase in trauma since schools have closed down as a result of COVID?
So first I want to ask Itzen, thank you, and move forward to the next slide, please. So I am Erin Simon, Assistant Superintendent of School Support Services. I know Ms. Tatum initially gave a time of 7 minutes. Just know that's usually my warm up. So I am going to do my best to get through these slides. And I think for us, I think it's important for us for this to be a conversational piece. I don't want this to be seen as a presentation, but really a conversation that's really around the work that we've done so far. And before I begin, I just really want to give a shout out to Ms. April Parker. I know that she's been in contact with the family, the foster youth unit in regards to just collaborative work being done together. And it's so nice to finally see you in person. So before I get into the actual supports, let me just talk and walk through the support staff that we currently have within Long Beach and how they're supporting students. So in regards to our social workers is really Susanna Cortez, who's on this call today, who oversees the foster youth unit. And then we have Nancy Izumi, who works within our homeless education program. And just some things they've been helping with families. And it's really been around the technology and connectivity devices, just collaborating with school site families, schools and staff and families about attendance, distance learning barriers. They're conducting home visits. I'm out there as well. We have our appropriate PPE and we're meeting families where they are, just provide them with supports, whether that's providing school supplies, clothes, devices, right? We're rolling those devices, which is probably unsafe down the street in those hotspots to our families. But again, we're meeting our families where they are. And also with the food donations, the mental health, the homework health. I know that Susanna Cortez has a partnership with the Los Angeles County of Education to where our foster youth receive online tutoring services. And that has been happening over the course of 3 or 4 years. So we're happy that we're able to continue that, although it's in a virtual way. Our foster youth students are still receiving such services. Our counselors are conducting those social emotional learning lessons, those check-ins with our students to ensure they're okay. They're participating in IEPs and 504s and SST meetings, crisis counseling, suicide assessments. We're still conducting those virtually. It is sad that more of our students are having suicidal ideations just based on knowing that they're more isolated within their homes. They're grieving, not necessarily because of a loss of a family member or friend, just because it's more so because they're not able to connect with their peers in a normalized way. So we're seeing that being exacerbated as well. They're also working with our high school counselors, the college applications and FAFSA applications, although virtually, and then the basic needs and the community referrals, which we're seeing an uptick in as far as just the basic needs of shelter and things of that nature. Our nurses, just to go through this a little bit quickly, because we only have 5 minutes, right, Ms. Tatum? The health assessments, the record reviews for IEPs, reevaluations, conducting follow-up calls with our families, especially within our in-person assessments that we had started to ensure that the family is still okay afterwards, just in case we have to do contact tracing and things of that nature. And then also assist with anything COVID that's on campus. And then for our psychologists, their usual, assisting with those assessments, attending those IEPs via Zoom, conducting home visits as necessary, and then also conducting crisis counseling as necessary as well. Next slide, please. So just inquiry about the Family Resource Centers. For those who are aware or not aware, the Family Resource Centers have been in existence for 3 years. This is our 3rd year with the Family Resource Centers, and they serve 26 sites within the school district. And in regards to just the work, I know there's been some questions about how our students are referred to such services. So just know that a school staff can refer a student at any time. A student can self-refer. If they're 12 years or older, we don't actually need consent from their family, from their parent or guardian, and that's per one of the family codes that you see mentioned on this slide. A parent or guardian can self-refer a student. Those online forms are on our district website. And also our parents can contact and students, the Family Resource Centers themselves, to begin that referral process, especially if they're having internet issues or don't have accessibility to internet or computer or technology. Our FRC staff have been trained. We've been working with folks from USC and from the mental health world in regards to a multi-tiered systems of supports, triage assessments. So they're able to determine the appropriate level of service. So if the student meets FRC services, then a case is open. If the student needs more per se tier 1, they may be referred back to their counselor, even while also receiving FRC services. And if they need more tier 3 services, which is more intensive, they need intensive mental health services, they are referred out to our school-based mental health providers. Or if a family does not have Medi-Cal, which can sometimes be a limitation of school-based mental health, we help our families tap into their private insurances to tap into mental health services too. How many students have been referred to the Family Resource Centers? And I broke this down just by year, just so you can see just how many referrals we've received. So in 2018 and 19, our initial year, we had around 625 referrals to the Family Resource Centers. In 2019-20, we had 611. Just so you know, we shifted to more virtual means after March 16th. I believe if it had not been for COVID, we would have doubled our numbers from 2018-19 and would have been closer to 1,200. It has been difficult to follow up with families and to reach out with families amid COVID due to such virtual issues. And then so far for 2021, we have 197 open cases, and we have a total of 1,433 for like all 3 years. How many students are receiving counseling service at this time? Even with those cases, you have about 61. And that's based on, again, the limitations of having virtual means or phones we also see that many families are struggling, right? So although there's mental health needs that need to be taken care of, there are also basic needs, right, that parents are prioritizing, which include food and shelter and securities and things of that nature. So we're also working as we build our resources in that area to ensure that our families have access to that. And then how can parents refer their students? Again, using an online form, calling their counselor directly, calling the FRC sites directly. We're able to actually fill out that referral form with information from our families if they actually call into the site. Next slide, please.
And Dr. Simon, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think we have maybe like 1 more minute. So whatever you feel like is the most important to cover in about 60 seconds. Thank you.
Nicole. And so let me just go over this just quickly and I'll go to the last slide. Who is eligible? What are the eligibility practices? Really any family, any student that's eligible. And these are some of the services that we do provide even for a family support system. And again, we're going to share this slide deck out to all of our families, and we have the information on our websites, and you can please email me, contact me directly. I'll be happy to contact and re-engage with any family member who does so. And this is the last slide. If we go to the next slide, just quickly, just wanted to highlight just a little bit more of our data as Mr. Itzen is moving towards the next slide. And it goes into our school-based mental health collaborative. We have about 6 mental health agencies that support us in that effort. Go back one, please. And it just goes into how many students have been referred, whether that's from FRC Direct or from district, and then how many students are actually receiving those services. And you can see we have increased. There are a lot of students who are receiving those tier 3 level services within the system. And then more so about the school-based mental health collaborative. It's been here for more than a decade. What those services are, how many school sites the school-based mental health collaborative serves, and that's about 60 school sites. And there's more information there as well. And I know that my time is up and I want to be respectful and give our parents time to speak out just about some issues that they're facing too.
Great, thank you, Dr. Simon. Thank you for all the crucial work that you do for Long Beach families and students. I put this in the chat, but I want to invite anyone who's actually gone to the Family Resource Centers, or not gone to, but received services from the Family Resource Centers, or received services, virtual services, telehealth services from counselors or other support staff members to share about your experience in the chat. And now I also want to turn it over to our first parent to share, Erica May. And Erica, can you share with all of us what the impact of COVID and school closures has had on your family's mental health and how that's impacted your children's ability to learn? I would also invite others to share in the chat if you have stories that respond to this question. Take it away, Erica.
Thank you, Nicole, and good morning, almost afternoon to everyone. I am a employee, a mom, a wife, a friend, you know, all those things that we all tend to carry around on us every day. I have an 11-year-old 6th grader in middle school, and going into this COVID pandemic, we really had a really good and supportive team at the end of the 5th grade year. And just going into it, we were prepared for lots of changes, for lots of people to just, you know, kind of figure it out. And so as a mom who's able to work from home, I was blessed to be able to just be here and be an additional layer of support for my child who's transitioning from elementary school to middle school. And so as Nicole was saying, you know, how this impacts us emotionally, it doesn't always show up immediately. So the end of the school year for 2020 as a 5th grader, we transitioned pretty well. Everything was going fine. And then into the new school year as a 6th grader, the challenges became very apparent after that 2-week intro period that the kids experienced. And so my son is a high achiever. He's, you know, an accelerated program, and he did not do well. We are a very active family, both physically, emotionally. We're involved in, you know, lots of things. And clearly, as a part of the shutdown, all of that has subsided. And so I'm always looking for ways to support my child and help him to be successful, knowing that this was a great transition. I burned out very, very quickly. I felt inadequate as a parent, not being able to help facilitate and support my child while he is learning. And as I shared with other parents a few weeks ago, and even earlier this week, I kind of can equate it to having multiple bosses. And I think the issue with this virtual learning for an incoming sixth grader who is already transitioning from, you know, a single classroom to now multiple, and having children in college, it's a lot. It was just a lot of learning curves for everyone. And I equated it to him having 6 bosses who all want to be unique, who all want to make their impact. And I don't think enough time and consideration was taken into how an incoming 6th grader can manage 6 different bosses who want their assignments completed in potentially 6 different ways, navigating, you know, technology that none of us are really familiar with. And so I started having to get him up early so that we can work out, so he can be a little bit calmer. And during one of those sessions, he just broke down and said he didn't like it, which then equates to me as a parent feeling inadequate because I'm unable to support my child and to facilitate that, because I'm an HR professional and my core job is investigations and determining whether someone is going to lose their job or not. And so being able to work from home, facilitating my own job and facilitating my son and being able to communicate with 6 different bosses on 6 different levels and not have any consistency, and then loads of work. He's online, isolated for 8 to 9 hours a day. I don't have that much work. And to be expected to, sorry, I had a timer. To be expected to stay on task and to be successful, it is a lot. And so I'm gonna wrap this up because I had a lot of things to say, but I don't want to take up too much time. But just trying in thinking about finding solutions to kind of help that missing component of emotional support, where he just wants to see his friends so he can feel normal and have some sort of level of consistency. Is there a way that, in particular to my case, as you know, 6th grade educators, knowing that these children are coming into pandemic learning on one, transitioning from 1 or 2 classes to 6 classes, and then paring down the information that they need to be successful in completing 6th grade while giving them grace, be human and to be forgetful and not be penalized for that. And then to question parents who may or may not have the liberty to be here and be that supportive. It's just a lot. It is very overwhelming, and there's not enough aromatherapy or workouts or downtime in the day for us to be able to decompose after being online from 9 to 4 o'clock with additional homework and added assignments over the weekends. He's not given an outlet. And so it's an early crash and burn, and you're seeing across the board lower scores overall. It's just I know that the district has put a lot of thought on this, and I appreciate everyone who has taken the steps to really step outside of themselves, but we're still not there for these children who, as adults, navigating 6 bosses is unheard of, but you're asking for your children to navigate this while they're learning how to live in a world that doesn't even look familiar to them anymore. And so I don't know where we go with this, but I just want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to say my piece and to voice my frustration while being a professional myself and, you know, trying to navigate my own world and my own life. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Erica. I'm sure everyone here can relate to you and just really appreciate you sharing your story. You know, it seems to be like a lot of common themes from previous parents and what Dr. Simon was sharing about what they've seen in terms of social isolation and then the pressure, the immense pressure on parents having to navigate all of this. So I'd like to invite Johnson to share his story briefly about the emotional impact of school closures and COVID, and any ideas you have for the district in terms of what can they be doing in the classroom or through support services to better support you and your children during this difficult time. Go ahead, John.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, whoever that organizes, and Jolene, thanks for inviting me. I normally have been extremely private. I rejected a lot of interview with different media channel, but I believe this is a very crucial time that I need to get out from my shell and speak up, because I share with all of you one of my favorite quote by Frederick Douglass, right? He said, it's easier to build a strong children than to repair a broken man. In Long Beach, I personally observe with this pandemic, especially in the Cambodian American community. I work with, I think Sapir Chim is also on this call as well, to help a lot of Cambodian American families to just get access to Chromebook, right? And they were struggling, and I listened to all of them. There's a lot of concern. And also my son also have the same issue that Erica is going through. My son is transitioned from 5th grade to 6th grade, and he's in a gifted program. He always has straight A. Mm-hmm. And then when Zoom hit, he have a few D's and F. One day he could not sleep until 2 a.m. So I have a one-on-one with him, and his concern was that he has some password issue into his, in his music class. So again, I don't know whether any of the parents are struggling the way that I do. I hold a graduate degree with a full-ride scholarship, and I used to be a call center manager. And I consider myself very techie, but my concern is if my family, with the level of education that my wife and I have, are struggling with Zoom and seeing our kids having anxiety. And then one of my friends took her own life at the age of 14 the other day, that going around in social media. I think she's in Long Beach. Depression is going through in our community. We can use it as or we can listen to one another, not just only listening to the parents, but we can also reach out and listen to teachers. I was able to reach out to one of my my daughter's teachers, and she's struggling the same way that we're struggling, right? I think if we're talking about emotional, sort of support, I think it should be both ways. They are going through the same way that we are going through, but I was able to listen and understand that she going through what we're going through, and also she is raising an autistic, daughter, right? So it's really, really hard.
John, it's Jerlene. John, it's Jerlene. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm going to jump in here, okay? I'm going to jump here one
Sure.
because we got to kind of push things forward, but I'm going to push you a little bit. So I had an opportunity to talk to you, and you shared with me two things that were going on with your son. You shared with me that he was a student and something recently happened that has been disturbing him. Can you share that with your son being an A student, and now what was the grade that you said he recently got?
Well, he has D and 1 F in his music class.
And how, and share with everyone how that affected him. Because that, like when you shared the story with me, I have a 12-year-old as well. Right. And I connected with you there. Can you tell everyone what happened? What's going on with him now because of him being an A student and suddenly this change?
Well, as I mentioned, he couldn't sleep until 2 a.m. because he had a goal that he wanted to go to Harvard Law. And with the grade that he's going through right now, and I don't know how long it's going to be going through the way that our school system is going through now. If he can, he asked me, I'm not sure if I can still go to Harvard with the grade that I'm going through right now, because all his life, the guy, he read, he can read when he was 3 years old. Mm-hmm. And now all of his academic has always been straight A's, and he's in a gifted program, and now he is having D and F.
So John, you also shared something else with me. Is it okay that I share how your family was affected by COVID? So you had shared with me that your family, your wife, your sons, both are your wife, 2 sons, correct? 2 sons contracted COVID.
Right.
Contracted COVID this summer. How has that been affecting them just as we move forward in this virtual world? Can you just share that as well? Because when we talk about social emotional learning, going back to the parent, Erica May, and how she was saying, we all of a sudden our kids have these 6 bosses. So we have this expectation of excellence for them, but there's all these other things going on. So can you just share just a little bit about that? And I'm gonna pass it back to Nicole. I just jumped all in, Nicole. This is because I talked to John, and it was, in this time period, I think that we have to be reminded of why we are here. And we are here because this ever looming disease, a virus that we can't see. So, so John, tell us about the effect on your family and COVID, and how it connects back to your young person's schooling. Is he ready to go back to school?
Well, in July, we had that, right? So my daughter and my son and my wife had that. And after that, he's really eager, want to go and see his friends. He want to go back to school, but at the same time, the questions as a parent, whether are we going to willing to risk our kids' life over this balancing, right? If you ask me, does he still want to go to school? Yes, but is it safe? All of us already know the answer to that. So the question now that I am trying to listen to everyone is whether we have any best practices that we could help one another during this crisis, right? And again, he used to be the president of the Pokemon club that he created at his school. Now he cannot hang out with his friends. He asked me to go and knock down, just knock at his friends' houses, and I don't think it's safe to do that, right? So whether we should have any sort of community support, and I text in the group that whether we have any sort of like middle school chess club, any things that we could, schooling is all about, what I'm hearing is about assignment, and you do your assignment. If you don't finish your assignment, you have a certain grade, right? So I don't see the, you know, the fun fact. How can we make sure we guarantee people to encourage the kids to still love school, right? That someone mentioned in the beginning. So I can share a lot of stories, but I think my time's up.
Thank you, John. And, go ahead, Nicole. I see you over there.
Oh no. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you so much, Johnson, for sharing. And I know we're behind on time. We need to move on. So I would ask that the rest of the conversation move to the chat. But really, like, what are the ways that Long Beach can support families and students with some of this social isolation? What are some of the limitations? Please share in the chat if you have ideas. That would be great. And I'm going to pass it back to Jerlene for our last big question. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, John. Thank you, Erica. Again, like Nicole said, take the conversation to the chat. We are, our time is getting short. We definitely want to make sure that we end this day with conversation with Dr. Baker. I want to go ahead and pull up parent engagement. So Angie, Lucy, Robert. So Angie, Lucy, and Robert are all part of the planning committee for this event. And I mean, they're going to talk about parent engagement, but one thing that I could say, what's happening right now is parent engagement. This is one of the activities. So I know they're going to have an abbreviated, a very abbreviated presentation and talk about ways in which people can be engaged, which these slides are going to be made available. I know there's activity going on in the chat with information being shared. And I think Robert's delivering this, so make it happen.
Thank you, Jerlene. And if we can post this question to the audience, this is simply, how can parents be more meaningfully engaged as partners? And like Jerlene mentioned, I'm going to keep this brief. It's a collaboration between me and Dr. Lucy Salazar. Much of the work that you'll hear today also reflects those of our Parent University program, whose coordinator, Rebecca Fass, is here on the chat right now and has been sharing information. Our administrator, Kelly Hodge, Yolanda Huerta, and Sam Kio, who are our Spanish and Kamai parent support staff. They've been translating for our families during this event, and I want to thank all of them for continuing to support you. The bottom line to answer this question, and the 3 points I want to leave you with here are, number one, the most meaningful way to work in partnership on your children's education is primarily through our schools. Even when we're talking about district level decision making, I'm going to make a point in the ensuing slides about how that really begins with your relationships at your school sites. Number two, every interaction our district has with our community informs our planning and decision making processes. So even if it's not billed as a budget engagement activity, or even if it's not billed as a community forum per se, every time you have an interaction with one of our staff members, we take that as feedback and it informs our processes. And indeed, in the 3 previous presentations, a lot of the ideas that were shared by our executive staff are already in response to feedback that we received through our budget engagement process and from our learning continuity and attendance planning process. And then lastly, because this is going to be a very brief presentation, we're going to leave some resources for you in the end so that you can look and explore additional information for our parent engagement work. Next slide, please. So you can think about district level decision making as following this engagement framework. We have a superintendent's advisory committee that reflects the diversity of our stakeholders at Long Beach Unified School District. But the work of that committee draws upon feedback from the community through various thought exchange surveys, community forums like this one, and district and community stakeholder committees that meet on a regular basis. Next slide. Next slide, please. This is the list of Superintendent's Advisory Committee members. You'll notice in red that there are a variety of district community advisory committees that represent the parent perspective. And it represents our, for example, our African-American community, our District Community Advisory Committee are English learner parents, Pacific Islanders, those with students with disabilities. This broad range of perspectives are represented in the Superintendent's Advisory Committee process. And parents can be engaged in this work by these committees through monthly meetings. And it begins with you getting involved at your school site and informing your principal that you are interested in participating in these committees. In fact, right at this very moment, our principals have been seeking parent representatives for these committees. So please contact your school sites and let them know that you are interested so that we can get you involved in a variety of these meetings. Even if you can't participate regularly as a committee member, the DLAC and DCAC, the CAC, these committee meetings are also live streamed on YouTube. So if you follow the calendar that is provided at the link here and that I'll share on the chat afterward, you can view all of those committee meetings as well. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of site decision-making processes, it follows a very similar kind of structure. Every school site has a school site council. A school site council has a public comment section where members of the community can provide feedback to what happens at that school site. Their meeting notices are posted on their school web pages with the same regulations as what our Board of Education has. And there is a connection here between what happens at the school sites and how it informs our decision-making at the district level. As you can see from this graph, eventually a school site council will draw upon feedback from their English Learner Advisory Committee and other parent groups at their school site to develop a single plan for student achievement, sometimes referred to by our school sites as continuous improvement plan. But basically this site plan has to go to our Board of Education, which is reviewed by our district departments, and then ultimately approved by our board in alignment with district and site priorities. So you can be certain that every time you are participating at a school site level with your school site council or providing feedback to your site, ultimately it does help to inform decision-making processes at the district level as well. Next slide, please. Now, separately, there are sometimes calls not for participation in decision-making processes, but for support around the various resources that families, students, parents can use in order to be successful in our distance learning program at the moment. So you can see here the links that we've provided to our Canvas Parent Guide, our parent workshops, which we have every Thursday at 4:00 p.m. and televised live on YouTube. Parents can participate in that. You could see the calendar that's provided here, which we'll also leave on the chat. All of these resources are made available to our parents. And we also welcome your feedback as to the kinds of topics that you would like to have us covered. As we go every step of the way, we try to ensure that we are responsive to your needs. And I'll just give you one example before I turn it over to our next presenters. Social emotional learning, as Dr. Simon mentioned, is a big priority for us as a school district this year. We know that it's a high need for our parents and for our students as well. Our students may be engaging in social emotional learning activities, but our parents also called upon our parent university team to have some information and be able to participate in social emotional learning activities as parents. So our team has put together a Mindful Mondays series that gives parents a support network that they can lean on during these challenging times, as well as some workshops that are specifically to ensure that parents develop the skills to be able to manage during these times. So all of the work, all the feedback that you provided us, we've sought to ensure that we respond to them, and we continue to welcome your ideas in order to move this work forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Can you all hear me? Great.
And before you get started, I'm going to jump in here and interrupt you before you get started. So I know that Angie can introduce herself, yet I wanted to make sure that I took time to acknowledge Angie. Angie is a partner with the Children Defense Fund. So when we talk about parent engagement, the Children Defense Fund has been a major component in engaging parents, providing training, providing opportunity, teaching us how to tell our stories, how to write our stories, learning the different policies and processes that are around education for our children. So I wanted to just, because Angie's not going to tell you all of that. So thank you, Angie, and for being a part, and back to you.
Thank you, Jarlene, for your kind words, even when we're over time. Really appreciate everyone today. So it's my pleasure to introduce two parents. And
only one parent, only one, not just Juliana.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna introduce Juliana Martinez. She is a parent of children in special education and in general education. Just a reminder to mute yourselves if you aren't yet speaking. And that might be Juliana, actually. But anyway, just a note for the translation, Juliana is going to be sharing her story in Spanish. So I'm going to do a translation for Juliana. She's going to say like the first half of her story in Spanish, and she'll pause and mute herself to avoid the echo. And then I'll say it in English. So for the Khmer translator, you can wait until I say the English to translate into Khmer for all our Khmer speakers. Okay, Juliana, you can take yourself off mute if you haven't already. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, buenas tardes todos. Mi nombre es Juliana Martínez y tengo 3 estudiantes en el distrito. So, quiero nomás rápidamente mencionar un poco de la historia que estamos viviendo en este tiempo de COVID. La barrera grande que tenemos es, pues, ya son 2 cosas, el idioma y la tecnología. De este lado de la pantalla, tengo una hija que también tiene salud mental. Y esa es otra barrera más grande. Pienso que en este momento es la barrera más difícil que nos hemos enfrentado. Porque ella, aparte de sus discapacidad de autismo, está con esta barrera grande. Y la ansiedad incrementa o ha incrementado por el COVID porque está sentada detrás de una pantalla.
Technical.
Y yo como padre
Juliana,
estoy
Juliana, ¿me escucha?
Considerando, sugiriendo que tengamos un poco más de consideración a todos los estudiantes que tienen este problema, no nada más mi hija, que reduzcan un poco los maestros sean más flexibles al hablarles, que sean más flexibles en las porque a veces por la tecnología, internet no los dejan entrar, ellos están perdiendo su materia.
Okay, the interpreter would like to suggest if I could hear her and I could give my interpretation in English simultaneous. Can I do that? So everybody could hear me.
Está bien.
Okay, señora, ¿puede empezar otra vez a decirme? Yo la
escucho. Thank you.
Pero
sí, la escucho.
Apague su micrófono, yo voy a interpretar todo. Empiece otra vez, por favor. Sí, la escucho, dígamelo. Sí. I am introducing myself as Juliana Martinez. Sí, diga, señora. I have 3 students in the school district in Long Beach. two of the students are special education, and one of them has problems with mental health issues. Sí, señora, continúe, no pare, siga hablando. I am asking and I am giving my history because of the class that I'm going through online. The students need a little bit of more consideration in the homeworks or in the way they log in the session, so they don't take it as an absentee. And I'm talking specifically for the students that have problems with mental health and problems with incapacity at the same time, disabilities, because when they start, that affects them, because they are students that are very rigid to have follow a certain routine. And that is happening to my daughter. She has that problem. If she doesn't connect, and if you don't put the internet, then I see that many things that happens in my experience with COVID. Also, I am suggesting to reduce the homework for this type of students, and the IEP team, only the teachers, to have more consideration towards these students in a way that they're being treated and talking to them in the screens, because many time of them, we're not doing well that day. That is not a good day for them sometimes. My daughter, I am working with mental health services, but I cannot do it myself because I know the school is the main resource that has to be involved in to help our children. I quit my job to be with my children because I had a job with school hours. All that changed. And I would like to also mention that the school, the wonderful school, what they're doing right now, because they're using material with paper books that they could see, not all the time in Canvas, and that is good because that is the reality. When we go back to school, regular school, that is a very good suggestion. I hope they consider all the schools. And also, I am taking notes of what the youngest one says. When he was going to field trips, it was a field trip for them, and I noticed that that was a moment for them to make a suggestion or an invitation, that the money from the field trip to make a recognizing them instead, because they're working, they put in all their effort. They have a lot of, they have a lot of desire. Being behind the screen is not easy. The internet is not from 9 to 3:45. It's very difficult, and I'm not sure if I have a lot of time, but I want to congratulate all the students that put all the effort behind the screen, and also the parents that are teachers and counselors and therapies. In this case, none of us were ready for this, but we have, and I'm trying every day to learn with my children. This is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for bearing with us with the translation issue, but I think it should be noted that the first thing that Juliana said was that the biggest barriers for parents has been language and technology, right? So we saw it there, lived experience in real time. And so I want to thank Juliana, and I want to take a moment also, because I know that we're getting very close to our 12:30 mark, and just ask for continued patience and grace from all of you, if you'd be open to staying on for 10 more minutes with us, so that we can transition to our last piece and get to hear from a few of the parents again, as well as from our superintendent. So if you can please stay with us 10 more minutes, we would love that. I want to say one thing and then pass it back to Robert. Robert, if you want to share maybe what we'll share in the follow-up email to this event, which is a thought exchange. Because again, we really wanted to do this forum in order to know what the successes are, so we can build on them, so we can know where the gaps are, so that we can fill them. And it has implications for decisions about where resources are spent, how time and attention is spent. And so it's really important to hear from you all as parents, as community stakeholders, on what the solutions are that, you know, halfway through this year, we can leverage more. So with that, we were thinking of doing a thought exchange, but I just want to thank all the parents again. Jolene said this is an example of parent engagement, but also just all of the efforts that you all are engaged in already in activating learning at home. It's unprecedented, and I know very stressful. So with that, I'll pass it back to Robert, and then we'll pass it back to Jolene and the team to close us out.
Just to say briefly what Angelica mentioned about the thought exchange, in a follow-up email after this event, we'll send out a feedback form and also a thought exchange link that enables all of you to share with us additional ideas that you may have. We know that you've been participating actively in the chat, and so we're taking notes on all of the ideas that you're presenting, but also just to give you another opportunity to share with us what you think potential solutions might be after you've had a chance to reflect on the community forum and all the ideas that you've heard here from presenters and from our panelists. And now I pass it back over to Shirley.
Thank you, everyone. Again, thank you for everyone's patience. If you can, 10 more minutes, that's all we ask of you. So right now it is 12:30. If you can give us to 12:41, we want to make sure that we close this out right. I'm going to bring to the screen Dr. Baker and Kim. So Kim, we were gonna have a couple other parents that kind of came in to be able to do some direct dialogue with Dr. Baker, but we don't have time to do that today. So I'm sure there's gonna be some more opportunities for us to be able to do that. So Kim, I don't see you.
I'm here, I'm here.
All right, so all yours, and then do what's next to close us out. You got 9 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello again. I will be quick, so we're almost at the end. Yes, thank you for those extra 10 minutes. I just want to recap some of this rich information. Thank you to the presenters for sharing all the data and to keep the conversation going. I want to affirm that we have some amazing children. They are resilient. I want to thank the parents, guardians, family members, teachers, and others that are helping a child during this pandemic. It is not easy, and this is our truest example of community care. So what did we learn today, and how does today's forum inform what we do tomorrow? Our first question at the top of the day was, what student groups are consistently assessing distant learning, and what can we do to improve their access? We heard data from the district staff that Black and other students of color are severely impacted. This is a nationwide issue. This is not only Long Beach. We heard from parents, Lilia and Rashika, and their parents are struggling even with their daily help, right? Our second question, how can we ensure that students with the greatest needs have access to tutoring and additional support during the pandemic to minimize learning loss? I want to remind us that we are also in a time of deep inquiry about our practices of racial equity as a community, as a district, as a nation. After the George Floyd murder, there was a tremendous racial upheaval. Many school districts around the country are adopting multicultural, anti-racist pedagogy as part of their teaching. We heard all the stories from parents in the earlier panels and how their students are getting so much additional work, right? Our third question, how can students and families, I apologize to the translators, I know I'm going fast. How can students and families receive the mental health support needed to deal with the increase in trauma since schools closed as a result of COVID? Dr. Simon mentioned, and many of the speakers also mentioned, that students are having a tough time. Their social emotional learning is frayed. We know that social workers, counselors, administrators, staff are all going out dressed in PPE to knock on doors and look for these kids. It is difficult to find kids, and it troubles me that only 61% are receiving counseling. I'm a little concerned about that, but we'll get back to that. Our fourth question and final question, how can parents be more meaningfully engaged as partners in their children's education and in decision-making at the school and the district level? This is a big ask for parents to show up differently during this time and develop deeper relationships with your school, offer feedback, and work on solutions together. And it is a call for the district to find creative ways to reach out to family, not the same old, same old. And I know that the district is doing some amazing work. So the top 3 questions that are coming in from parents in the chat, Dr. Baker, Can we talk about whether or not we can have a clear policy around cameras? This seems to be coming up over and over again. How is this affecting, you know, learning and community building and so forth? Second question, can students, you know, again, with a policy regarding assignments and grading and flexibility, how much homework is fair, right? I don't know if we need a policy on that, but parents are asking because that's a big concern to them. And the third question, how do we balance student health and potential learning loss, right? Students are struggling, as you know, Dr. Simon mentioned, you know, we've got suicidal ideations, we've got depression, we've got all sort of health issues happening for students and parents, right? Quite frankly, and possibly teachers, right? So all of us are in this boat together. So if you can just touch on any or all of those three questions, Dr. Baker, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tabari. I also want to just do some thank you and invite my team. We work as a team in Long Beach Unified. That's why they're all here. And they may have some things to contribute to our closure, as well as any of our school board members who want to jump in. I just want to say thank you to all who have participated and those of you that have shared your stories. There's something very powerful about each story that was told that helps to really illuminate the gaps in what we think is happening and to help us to do better. And I think today's morning really shows the complexity of this time, that given all of our efforts, it's still not enough to meet the needs of all of our students. And so I have a lot of notes and I'll just reflect a few and then follow up, ask my team to jump in if they want to jump in. Absolutely want to affirm the incredible impact of teachers and principals. They are going through this pandemic as well, many managing their own children's lives and other lives and lives of illness that have come in COVID, in having a COVID experience or a COVID diagnosis in their own home, including loss. But as you heard Rashika tell the story of relationship building, I want to just affirm the relationships that are built with teachers and principals and those of you in the community cannot be underscored enough. Second to that, just affirming the need for more social emotional skill building as part of the academic curriculum. And I saw Mr. Gray from Poly High School on, who actually sits on a committee at the state level, helping to inform Dr. Simon and her team around social emotional learning and trying to find the balance between support to students and progress academically and how we can do that better in Long Beach Unified School District. We've made some really strong pivots for this school year in terms of supporting teachers with instructional materials and other resources. And it's not enough though, and so continue. And then working with our schools. Every department's here because every department works with schools to build more grace for students and parents. I heard a lot about the need for flexibility, for attendance, not just grace for teachers, but grace for families with assignments and deadlines. I heard a lot about workload today, classwork, homework, and a focus on essential learning, because this time is nothing like the past in terms of what people are experiencing. I heard a lot about communication. So this forum can be a model for schools. As you heard so many people say, that interaction with the teacher and with a principal and the school team is of utmost importance, because all the plans that we can make, all the financial investments that we can make are best activated at the school level. And so we will work with our schools to think about what smaller forums like this could look like for a school community to bring their parents together, to bring students together, to really look at the issues that they're facing. And I guess lastly, just really leaning into virtual methods for students to engage with one another. We did not have students featured today, and that has been something that we've been working really hard on this fall to uplift student voice. And I think students have a lot to teach us about what they're feeling like, and we're activating on many of the ways that students are teaching us or sharing with us their authentic experience. And that is helping us to make plans as we head into greater into December and into January. And so today isn't announcing decisions, it's really being thoughtful about what we've heard. And that's the reason you have our entire team here today representing the entire district, to be thoughtful about how we proceed. I'll just open up, give my team a minute. If anybody wants to jump in and offer something, I want them to have an opportunity.
Yes, Dr. Baker, if you don't mind, I'd like to start with the fact that many of us on this team, and what you've highlighted is about community. We are all, a lot of us, as an immigrant student, myself in Long Beach Unified School District, as a product of this district, of a parent of this district, many of us on exec staff are like you, in the community, part of the community, and struggled through this community. My daughter's a senior. I have another daughter in 4th grade. So just again, to Dr. Baker's point, the sense of community, we feel it, we know it, we're a part of it, proud of it, and we're gonna move along and move forward. So we wanna thank everybody who's taken part in this forum today and given us the opportunity to be able to speak and address the issues that you've all brought up.
And this is Erin Simon. Thank you, Dr. Camarino. Just to go into more of the SEL, I just want to be clear and make this point that we are not just relying on online means or technology, right, to have conversations with our parents or even in regards to referral process, right? We are going old school, right? We are texting, we are calling, we are sending out letters to families. We are conducting home visits. And in our conversations with our families, which include our students as well, we've talked about uplifting those student voices. Parents are in a different space. And although they recognize the mental health needs, there's also the basic needs, again, that they are prioritizing just to get through. And that is taking care of the food insecurities, the housing insecurities. And so those are things that we're really helping with our families as they're prioritizing, but also, right, discussing how we have to take care of the social emotional learning and also the mental health needs as well. We also realize that sometimes with mental health, it's a cultural issue, right? So I can speak from my family, my grandparents who are from the South. And I remember he used to tell me when I was younger, don't have a counselor call me, we take care of our problems here. That could be taken care of with a preacher, pastor, whomever. And I think within our cultures, you know, sometimes we don't want to deal with mental health, or sometimes it's just a cultural issue. So we've been working with our community agencies just to help us build capacity with our families to discuss more about mental health and how it is important that we tap into that and have conversations about that as well. So any way that our community members can continue to help us, I will be reaching out to you all individually, as my team has been in the past, to discuss those solutions. And again, we're going to continue to reach out to our students as well to see how we can build their capacity too.
Thank you, Dr. Simon, and thank you to all of the staff that have shared today. And so in closing, I just want to echo one of my favorite movement leaders, Linda Sarsour, who said, the people closest to the pain are closest to the solutions, right? The district has to find a way to hear from Black, Indigenous, and students of color families to fulfill their equity goals. Let us truly, truly listen to the voices of those families and those students. We have to be bold, ambitious, and quite frankly, honest about how we're going to move about improving the academic achievements of all of our students, especially the Black and POC students. So I want to close with my favorite poet, words from my favorite poet, Gwendolyn Brooks, and she said, we are each other's harvest, we are each other's business, we are each other's magnitude and bond. So Long Beach, let's continue to take care of one another and help our children, and in particular, our most vulnerable children. I'd like to invite Lucy Salazar back on the screen to close us out.
Thank you, Kim, for that. Those are beautiful words. And thank you to everyone that has been here this morning into the afternoon. And we appreciate the grace and patience for our team this morning. I want to acknowledge our team. I want to acknowledge not only Kim, but I also want to acknowledge our moderator today. Thank you, Jerlene, for keeping us together tight, as well as to Angie. Shout out to Alyssa. Lilia Ocampo, thank you so much for your story. Mariela, thank you so much for participating and moderating and again, speaking and lifting voices today. Nicole and Robert, my colleague, thank you so much. I also want to acknowledge everyone behind the scenes. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes, and to bring this moment that we are all sharing today, Michael, thank you so much for stepping in. You've done an amazing job, as well as Melissa. And of course, Mr. Itzen, our multimedia team, your team, to Gary, to Ruben. I know they're not being seen Also appreciation for everyone that shared their story this morning. Of course, for today's presenters, thank you to Dr. Baker, to Jill and your team for being here this morning. I know that there were many others behind the scenes and in quiet spaces on this Zoom. So I know that we had a lot of other district folk that were here ready to share as needed and give input. But the parents, thank you to the parents. We are in awe for everyone leaning in today to share, but to also listen with empathy and compassion and to have an open heart and open mind to listen to the stories today. So thank you for sharing your lived experiences and because they inform our work. It's been said over and over today, you are informing our work and we are here so that we can be together and so we can be better for all our students. So thank you for your willingness to share. Thank you for your willingness to extend your time. 15 minutes past, I'm acknowledging that. But we want to wish you a happy Saturday, a happy rest of the week. This incoming week is heavy. It's heavy for many reasons. And so we want to remind you to take care of yourselves, take care of each other. You can expect for us to send you one more email, which will provide you an opportunity to give us feedback on today. Again, we acknowledge 15 minutes went past, but we also want to hear from you, any lingering thoughts. So we will send you not only a feedback form, but we will also send you a thought exchange. And we really hope that you give the opportunity to exchange thoughts with each other. So thank you to those of you that have been viewing us on our live stream on YouTube. We hope it was a smooth way for you to engage and that the thought exchange will give you an opportunity to share your input as well. I just want to say thank you again. And I'm so honored to have been here. I'm so honored to have shared this space with everyone. And I'm gonna send you off to your Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you.